I still couldn't wrap my head around why Caleb had treated Mira that way in our past life. After getting dressed, I left the house with Adrian. The moment we stepped outside, I saw Mira walking toward us hand in hand with Lucas. Mira wore a sleek off-shoulder black dress. Her collarbone and shoulders marked with bruises she was clearly trying to hide, though her posture screamed defiance. Her eyes scanned me, shining with a twisted kind of pride. She must have been beaten the night before, yet she wanted everyone to think otherwise. My mind echoed with a sharp warning, "Be careful." Then her mocking voice cut through the cold air. "So, how was your wedding night, Alara?" She taunted, dripping with contempt. I was wearing a modest, long-sleeved gown, perfectly in line with the Veilen family's strict code. Mira must have forgotten that Lady Veilen despised anything flashy or overly bold, but I didn't bother reminding her. I just smiled and said, "Mira, as the eldest daughter-in-law, it's sister-in-law, not sister." Her face twisted with rage. "Even Adrian doesn't call you that," she spat. "Why should I?" She then turned to Adrian, trying to drag him into her petty fight. "Adrian, say something." But I could feel the air thicken around him, an icy warning radiating off him. In his mind, I caught the sharp curse. "This idiot's gonna pay tonight." He tugged on Mira's hand, signaling her to stop, but she was oblivious to the danger she was stepping into. "Tell me, Adrian." I heard his voice low and calm. "What is the first rule of the Veilen family?" Lucas instantly lowered his gaze. "I'm sorry, Alara. I'll fix it right now." Then, before Mira could respond, Adrian struck her hard across the cheek. "Show proper respect. Greet your brother and sister-in-law properly." His command was cold, final. Mira's face burned red, not just from the slap, but from humiliation. She was furious, but knew better than to challenge Adrian. Begrudgingly, she muttered through clenched teeth, "Good morning, brother." "Good morning, sister-in-law." As soon as she said it, Lucas pulled her away. We didn't say much as we walked to the dining room. Mira was still sulking, but the real storm was brewing inside the Veilen estate. As soon as we entered, Lady Veilen herself appeared, leaning heavily on her ornate cane. The whole room fell silent, and everyone stood up out of respect. Her sharp gaze locked on Mira, who was still wearing that reckless, strapless dress from last night. You could almost see the thunder crackling in the air. "Mira," Lady Veilen's voice was icy. "What do you think you're doing?" Mira tried to smile, weak and fake, like a child caught sneaking cookies. "Mother, it's Adrian's choice. He says he likes it when I'm—" She hesitated. "Dressed this way, especially now that I'm carrying his child." Lady Veilen's cane slammed down on the floor with a deafening crack. "Shameless. What you do behind closed doors is your business. But never, never speak of such things in public. And don't ever embarrass this family by dressing so indecently again." In our past life, even a servant had been dismissed for wearing shorts. So I had always lived cautiously, like walking a tightrope over a pit of vipers. But Mira? She thought the rules didn't apply to her because she was Adrian's wife. What a mistake. Sweat beaded on Mira's forehead as she whimpered, "I'm sorry, Mother. I didn't mean to." Before Lady Veilen could respond, Adrian spoke up, sounding remorseful but with venom beneath the surface. "It's my fault. I should have reminded her." I caught his dark thoughts. Serves her right. Watching her get scolded is pure entertainment. Disgusting. Since Mira was a newlywed, Lady Veilen didn't punish her further, but sat down and commanded us to eat. Adrian stayed silent the entire meal, but casually pushed some food my way. I felt Mira's burning glare pierce me like a dagger, but I just smiled brighter. "Thank you, Adrian." Lady Veilen's eyes softened as she looked at me. "Alara, after lunch, you'll go to the company with Adrian. It's time you start learning the family business as the eldest daughter-in-law." I'd expected this. In the last life, she had said the same thing to Mira, but Mira had refused. "I don't want to learn. I'll just rely on Adrian," she had said. Now look where that got her. Kicked out and forgotten. "Of course, Mother." I said obediently. Adrian led me to the company car. The whole ride, I tried to read his thoughts, but got nothing. It made sense. A man like him wouldn't be distracted by emotions. He had nothing to worry about. When we finally arrived at the Veilen Corporation's towering headquarters, Adrian ushered me into his office without a word. "Wait here," he said flatly before disappearing behind the frosted glass door. I sat down, my heart pounding, not just from nerves, but from curiosity. Something about this place screamed power and secrets, and I was eager to uncover every bit of it. Before I could settle, I noticed Adrian heading briskly toward the conference room. My curiosity got the better of me, and I quietly followed. Inside, I caught him in the middle of a negotiation with a sharp-suited foreigner, a man with an unmistakable British accent who was pitching some kind of skincare formula. From the corner, I tuned into the British man's thoughts as clearly as if he spoke aloud. "This formula isn't worth more than a few £100. I'll make sure the Veilen family pays top dollar for nothing." His confidence was unsettling, but Adrian didn't seem fazed. The Veilen heir stayed calm, carefully weighing the offer. The man confidently pushed for £3 million. Adrian hesitated. Just a flicker, but enough for me to notice. The tension in the room thickened as the man pressed harder. "Mr. Veilen, this product could bring you tenfold that amount with the right marketing." Just as Adrian was about to agree, I couldn't hold back. I pushed open the door and stepped in. "Hello," I greeted in clear English, holding the serum bottle. As a skincare enthusiast and product developer, I can tell you this formula only contains whitening agents. It lacks anti-aging or wrinkle-reducing compounds, which are what really sell in this market. The British man blinked, clearly thrown off. Adrian reclined in his chair, intrigued, watching me with a quiet interest. I took that as my cue to keep going. Surface-level whitening effects are minimal and temporary. So why would this be worth £3 million? I challenged. Silence filled the room. Then I added, "However, since this is an imported product with decent social media buzz, many consumers already know and trust the brand. So my offer is £1 million. The man's eyes widened. "1 million is generous. Think carefully." Adrian leaned forward, voice sharp. "That's not acceptable." I cut in. "No, 1 million is final. I'd pay 10,000 for the actual formula. 3 million is ridiculous for what's inside." The room went dead silent. The British man stood abruptly, anger flashing in his eyes. In broken Mandarin, he demanded, "Who are you to decide the price?" "This is unacceptable. I won't do business this way." He stormed toward the door. Adrian's voice cut through the tension calmly but with authority. "1 million. Sign the contract now. And apologize to my wife." The man froze, then slowly turned around, eyes gleaming with reluctant respect. "You are a shrewd businessman, Mr. Veilen," he said with a forced smile. Turning to me, he bowed slightly. "Mrs. Veilen, my apologies. I didn't realize you were involved." After the signing, I couldn't hide my confusion. "Why pay $1 million for a formula barely worth 10,000? I asked. Adrian sipped his coffee, speaking slowly. "You have good instincts, but don't fully understand market dynamics yet. The formula itself is worthless. I knew that. What I wanted was the brand. Jack, the man you just dealt with, built a strong reputation among young women. With targeted promotion, I can easily recoup that $1 million, probably double it within a year." Suddenly, everything clicked. That explained Jack's confidence and why this deal was so important for the Veilen family's expansion. This time, I was learning things I never would have in my past life. Still curious, I asked, "But how did you know the formula was only worth 10,000? Adrian fixed his sharp gaze on me. I offered a nervous smile, feeling like I'd been caught guessing. He didn't press further. Later, as I walked through the company halls, I marveled at how much I'd grown since coming here. The world of business was a battlefield of strategy, psychology, and relentless ambition, and I was determined to master it. This was my second chance, and I wasn't about to waste it. After the deal, Adrian led me through the labyrinthine corridors of Veilen Corporation. his steps steady and purposeful. I followed closely, trying to soak in every detail. The sleek glass walls, the sharp suits rushing by, the hum of voices strategizing deals that could change industries overnight. It was a world so different from the sheltered life I once knew. We stopped outside a large conference room. Adrian opened the door and gestured for me to enter. Inside, a group of executives waited, their eyes flicking toward me with varying degrees of curiosity and skepticism. Adrian cleared his throat and said, "This is Sarah. She's going to start learning the business from the ground up." I swallowed hard but forced a smile. "I'm eager to learn," I said honestly, knowing full well how deep and ruthless this game could be. One of the men, a grizzled veteran named Marcus, leaned forward, eyes sharp. "Ms. Veilen, knowing your position, I expect you to grasp the complexities quickly. We can't afford mistakes." I nodded. "I understand." Adrian stayed silent, letting me take the spotlight. For the next hour, they briefed me on ongoing projects, market trends, and financial strategies. I scribbled notes furiously, trying to connect the dots between concepts like ROI, market penetration, and brand equity. It felt overwhelming, but exhilarating. Later, as we left the conference room, Adrian's voice softened. "You did well today, but remember, this is just the beginning." I looked at him, feeling a mix of pride and pressure. "I want to contribute, not just watch." He gave a rare smile. "Good. You'll need that fire." The days that followed were a whirlwind. I sat in on board meetings, absorbed endless reports, and even debated marketing strategies. I was learning about supply chains, consumer behavior, and competitor analysis. Each lesson felt like a piece of armor in the battle for power and respect. One afternoon, I sat beside Adrian in his office as he reviewed a proposal. "This new product line targets women aged 25 to 35, he explained. "Their purchasing power is increasing by about 12% annually. The global skincare market is expected to hit $180 billion in 5 years. We need to position ourselves strategically." I nodded thoughtfully. "So it's not just about the product, but understanding the market's pulse?" "Exactly," he said. "And the brand's story. People buy emotions, not just products." I thought back to Jack's formula deal. The product was mediocre, but the brand carried weight. Years of trust and marketing savvy. Adrian's phone buzzed, pulling him back to the present. "Business never stops," he murmured. Over the next few weeks, I found myself growing more confident. I started suggesting ideas during meetings, sometimes met with nods, other times with raised eyebrows. But every experience was a lesson. One evening, after a long day, I caught a glimpse of Adrian in his office, alone, looking over financial charts. I asked, "Do you ever get tired of this?" He looked up, his usual steely demeanor softening just a bit. "Every day. But this is our legacy. The Veilen name means something. We protect it." I realized then that surviving here wasn't just about smarts or money. It was about resilience, loyalty, and sometimes sacrifice. As I walked back to my apartment that night, the city lights shimmering below, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about carving my own place, on my terms. And with Adrian by my side, I was ready for whatever came next. Days turned into weeks, and my world kept shifting faster than I could keep up. The company was a beast, sometimes ruthless, sometimes rewarding, but I was learning to tame it, one step at a time. Adrian remained a silent but steady presence, guiding me with quiet confidence, though he rarely gave away much about his own thoughts. One evening, while working late, I noticed a folder left on Adrian's desk, marked Project Phoenix. Curiosity got the better of me, and I flipped it open. It was a strategic plan to relaunch a struggling product line with a complete brand overhaul. The numbers were staggering. An estimated $50 million investment with a potential return of 250% in 3 years. The plan included tapping into emerging markets and leveraging digital influencers. I was amazed and a little overwhelmed. This was the scale of business I had only ever read about. Yet, The calculated risks and rewards made a strange kind of sense. It wasn't just about surviving anymore. It was about thriving, building something lasting. The next day, during a high-stakes meeting, Adrian surprised everyone by inviting me to present the Project Phoenix outline. My heart pounded as I laid out the strategy, weaving in market analysis, consumer trends, and risk mitigation. I saw skeptical glances, but also nods of approval. When I finished, the room was silent for a beat before Adrian smiled and said, "Well done. You've earned your place here." That moment felt like a breakthrough. Not just for me, but for what I represented. The chance for someone who had been an outsider to step fully into this world. But the journey wasn't without its shadows. Sophia's spiteful whispers continued to echo through the halls. She tried undermining me, spreading rumors, but I stayed focused, letting my work speak louder than her venom. One afternoon, I confronted her quietly in the elevator. "Why do you waste so much energy on me?" I asked. She sneered. "Because you took what I thought was mine. The family, the position, everything." I shook my head, feeling a strange mix of pity and resolve. "I didn't take anything from you. I earned it." Adrian's trust, the lessons I learned, the battles I fought, all of it was proof. I wasn't just surviving this time. I was building an empire on my own terms. Looking back, I realized how far I'd come from the scared girl who memorized rules to survive. Now, I was writing my own playbook. One deal, one challenge at a time. And no matter what came next, I was ready.